Wait, there we go. We are live. Good morning, afternoon, and potentially good evening to everybody on LinkedIn, YouTube, and Twitter. Thank you for joining us today. My name is Michael Wardy, a certified financial planner and regional director at Source Advisors, and welcome to Showcase Broadcast Studios, where we are bringing great ideas and new ideas and updates and things to think about to our general audience throughout the world. And so I'm very thankful and appreciate everybody joining us today. On the broadcast today, we have Imran Syed, who, if you watched our broadcast, I think it was a couple of weeks ago, wasn't it, Imran?
That's right. Yeah.
It was a couple of weeks ago. We talked about some of the updates that have taken place on 179D and 45L, and we're going to extend that conversation. We also have Sean Gray. Both individuals are practice leaders on the Source Advisors team, on the energy team, and we'll talk about that. Gentlemen, both of you, thank you for joining us today.
Thank you, Michael.
Thanks, Michael.
We have a lot to go through. Of course, but before we get started, Imran, I know on our previous broadcast you gave an overview and background of yourself. I'd like to just bring everybody up to speed on your background, and then Sean, also give everybody a quick snapshot of yourself as well, so that we're all understanding that we're not just bringing on random people, that we have experts in this industry of energy incentives.
Sure. So I'm a senior director with the energy services at Source Advisors. So basically, we handle the Section 145L tax credits and the Section 179D tax deductions for commercial buildings.
Perfect. And Sean, quick background.
Yeah, so I've just recently joined Source Advisors. I'm a senior manager of energy services. Got a long background in and around kind of energy efficiency construction, and so that's going to be a big part of my role with Source Advisors.
Beautiful. And for those that are not familiar with us, which there's not many left, we are seeing a lot more people that are familiar with us. Source Advisors has been around for coming up on our 40-year anniversary. So happy anniversary to us. We started out as a software company, developing a platform for LIFO calculations, and have since expanded into the research and development tax credit, cost segregation for accelerating depreciation on properties, and then energy incentives, which is what we're talking about today. There has been a lot of talk recently with the Inflation Reduction Act about Section 45L and 179D, and today's conversation really focused on Energy Star. I will be the first to admit that I don't know a lot about Energy Star rating, what it is, what it's compiled, how it works. We'll go through as much as we can today, just so everybody knows. We will be having follow-up discussions and live broadcasts about this specific topic, because we're seeing a lot of people that are asking. So what better way to answer these questions than doing live broadcasts? If you haven't seen it before, join us on the next ones that we'll be hosting. And if you do have questions, please feel free to put those questions in the chat section or the comment section on LinkedIn, YouTube, or Twitter. We'll try and get to those. If we don't, we'll get back to you. With all that, gentlemen, let's talk about 45L. If we want to start and just get an overview and a reminder of what 45L is. More important, let's talk about what's going on with the changes from the Inflation Reduction Act starting in 2023, if we can go there.
Sure. Yeah, let me take that up. Now, historically, 45L tax credit, in order for you to qualify for that, dwelling units was supposed to show 50% savings from your heating and cooling consumption compared to the 2006 IECC standard. So that was the baseline standard until the end of this year. So that expires at the end of 2022. Now, primarily, we were looking at the heating and cooling equipment, the HVAC system, and the building envelope. So these were the two main components of the building that we were basically analyzing and evaluating. Moving forward, because of the Inflation Reduction Act, the pathway to qualify for the tax credit would be Energy Star. So whether it is Energy Star for single family homes or Energy Star for multifamily new construction, these are the two ways for you to qualify for the tax credit, which, if you remember, was $2,000 under the current and old rules. The tax credit moving forward could be anywhere from $500 to $5,000 per dwelling unit. So that's the major change that has come up. In addition to that, the process basically changes a little bit, both for builders as well as for energy rating companies such as us. Um, Moving forward, because Energy Star is a requirement, there are certain checklists and documentation that has to be completed prior to construction. So it's key for the builder to understand that raters such as us who are Energy Star certified have to be involved during the design phase so we can complete these checklists on time prior to the construction starting.
Perfect. How is this affecting everybody? And I know that's kind of a leading question, but I guess the real question is, how does that affect our process and when we work with clients, or does it?
The process, generally speaking, with regards to the energy modeling and the site inspections, they remain the same way as it was, pre-Inflation Reduction Act. So that process has not changed. What changes is some of the documentation that is required to be completed prior to construction, and then also post construction. So there are certain documents and checklists that have to be completed before construction. There's a lot of coordination that's happening with the HVAC contractor and the HVAC designer. So this is more of a multidisciplinary approach that is required here. It's not just me or just us talking to the builder and trying to get this thing completed. We're discussing this with all of the technicians, all of the HVAC contractors, the designers who are involved in the project. So that's the major change with Energy Star. As far as inspections, there are more inspections that are happening during the construction phase that have to be completed in order to comply with Energy Star.
So I know, again, being a novice, I know when I go to an appliance store and I see Energy Star rated appliances, this is not what we're talking about. This is above and beyond.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Sorry, I'll take that. Yeah.
Well, I just wanted to kind of say, it's the same sort of concept. When you see that label, that you're getting sort of a verified product that's going to be more efficient, right? Mm-hmm. So the same kind of concept applies to a house. There's steps that are going into it to kind of make sure that that product at the end is verifiably more efficient than your just off-the-shelf appliance.
Okay. So what does that mean for builders throughout the country? Because I know that there's been every builder and developer that we talk with, everyone's talking about building for energy efficiency. Is there extra steps that they're taking? Are they thinking, when do they start thinking about this, considering it? There's a whole bunch of questions that I think I'm trying to ask, but I'm probably not asking them the right way. Ultimately, what are they doing? What do they have to do, the builders?
Sure. You kind of get the gambit of different builders. They're building different specs, right? Some of them may be doing more, some of them may be doing less. But for the Energy Star, really part of it is just considering what you're doing at the front end to kind of ensure that you make a product that is, good at the end of it. So there's a little bit more of the plan reviews. There's a little bit more of kind of jockeying our position a little bit at the front end to kind of make sure that we come out with that product. And then along the way, there's guidance from source advisors to sort of make sure that we're on that right path to get to that Energy Star label.
So when are they talking to us? When should they? I said whether it's us or another specialty firm that provides the service. When should they start talking?
Ideally, it should be during the design phase of the project.
Okay.
Because a lot of the times when you can correct and you can provide analysis of what needs to be fixed in order to comply with the guidelines, if that changes can be made during the design phase, there's far less change orders in the construction phase. The client goes into the construction absolutely knowing that they are working towards Energy Star certification rather than that being an afterthought. So design phase is when we would like to be involved in.
Okay. So we're involved in that. We give the recommendations. Here's what you need to do. That will lead them towards a better chance of the unit being Energy Star certified, compliant.
Correct. Yeah, and part of that process, Michael, is really just sometimes it's selecting materials or methods, or we're basically just trying to, again, in the design phase, make sure that that building is set up to be successful, right?
Okay. And then as far as costs, because I know Imran, you and I had a call a couple weeks ago with a group, and their question was, is this worth it to do? Not from the fee to benefit, but are we going to make recommendations that's going to skyrocket their internal costs to develop these properties? How does that? What can a builder expect if they're thinking about this, or is that even a question that can be answered?
No, it's a very valid question, especially with builders now, because of the 45L that they've started thinking about Energy Star. And the ones who've not built Energy Star homes, before, that's the main question: is what does this mean overall as far as costs go? Now, I wish the answer was standardized and I could just, give one answer for everyone. It all depends on multiple factors. One of them being where that building or where it's being built, what the jurisdiction is. So a good example is there are certain cities and states that have adopted the 2012, 2015, or the 2018 IECC standards. Now, generally speaking, with Energy Star, you're looking at 2009 and 2012 IECC standards. So those are the standards that your proposed home is being compared to. If a builder is already building to 15 or 18 standards, clearly they're already doing a lot of what's required of them to do, right? Now, at that point, for them to comply with the Energy Star guidelines and get themselves certified, it might mean very few changes to the process. Maybe some certain construction methods have to change, but not a whole lot of change in the design front, right? So for them, that cost could be almost nothing. Now, with builders who are building to, I hope not, but building to the 2009 standards, yes, there will be a little more cost involved in with respect to moving from what they're building right now and jumping into Energy Star. So it all depends on what they're already building. Now, the hope here is whether they're building to standards or whether they're still building to older standards, the 45L tax credit hopefully offsets that additional expense. So that's what I'm hoping is builders strongly think about going towards Energy Star, because right now, and they never had a financial incentive on a federal level yet. So this is the first time that it's happening on a federal level. And so hopefully the tax credit helps them take that plunge into Energy Star.
So we talked about the tax credit. Can you share what the credit is? Like what the potential is?
So now for single family builders, that tax credit could be $2,500 for Energy Star, $5,000 for Zero Energy Ready Home certification. So
it's significant.
It is huge compared to what we were used to doing, which is $2,000 per unit.
Oh, yeah.
With multifamily, here's where it gets a little tricky. If a multifamily builder is complying with prevailing wages as per the Davis-Bacon Act, they're still eligible for the $2,500 for Energy Star, $5,000 for Zero Energy Ready. If they're not complying with prevailing wages, $500 for Energy Star, $1,000 for Zero Energy.
Okay. What is considered zero energy? Or is that a separate conversation?
No, I mean, Sean, you want to go over that?
Well, I mean, I kind of first make the distinction that they're calling it Zero Energy Ready. So for anybody out there that's kind of concerned that they've got to throw solar panels on things, it's not really kind of the way that it plays out. It's essentially doing an Energy Star rated house with a couple extra kind of things added in to make it so that if the future owner or the future developer, if they want to add solar or any kind of those other things, the building's already sort of rated, structurally rated on the roof or whatever it is. They've got maybe conduit. There's just sort of some things that make it so that in the future they could add solar panels and make that property, zero energy. So hence the name kind of zero energy ready.
Got it. Okay. And one more question. Thank you guys again. Does it matter geographically where the property is being built? Is it easier to be Energy Star rated in Montana versus Las Vegas or Florida? How does that play into this whole thing?
I think the safest thing to say is it depends, right? But
I love that answer.
But beyond that, a lot of different states have different code levels, right? And so Energy Star sort of takes that into account. Some states may be a little bit more of a stretch, and some states may be pretty close already.
Yeah.
As far as locations, state to state, all of it sort of tracks where they're at. So it's not as though if, say, Montana or Florida, right? It's not as though both are jumping to the same level necessarily. They're both sort of stretching along the same sort of lines.
Yeah, and to add to that, Michael, with Energy Star, and they completely understand, based on the climate zones, the requirements are going to be different. So when you look at the checklist, when you look at the baseline reference home that the proposed home is being compared to, that requirement for climate zones 1, 2, and 3 would be slightly different than 4 through 8. So even the efficiency of, let's say, the gas furnace or the heat pump, the requirements are different based on the climate zone.
Yeah.
Okay, and that makes sense. All this conversation, all that we're talking about, this is for 2023 going forward, correct?
Correct.
Builder has broken ground. We too late?
Not necessarily.
Okay.
But they would want to get involved with this quickly.
Okay.
Yeah, unfortunately, because of the timing of the Inflation Reduction Act as well, a lot of projects have started, which would probably be placed into service next year or 2024. Again, case by case basis, but it gets a little bit difficult once the construction has started, just because we do not know until we go in to see if they are already complying with all of the design requirements.
So if we're earlier, they buy the piece of land and now they're bringing on the architect, that's where we want to start those conversations and helping them. We're not giving advice or guidance. This is here at Source Advisors what we do. We're giving them insight into the right approaches so that they can be Energy Star and benefit ultimately from the credits.
That is absolutely correct. Yeah.
Okay.
Yes, correct.
Okay. What should, and because this has been a very hot topic recently with a lot of builders and developers, because the Inflation Reduction Act came out, and I know there's a lot of marketing going on and businesses are saying everybody gets everything and it's wonderful. What should people watch out for? Are we too early in saying here's some things to be concerned about?
Again, we can just speak for ourselves here right now, just because we're all trying to get into Energy Star. But Sean and I have gone through this and we've worked on projects. Our experience has been with Energy Star certification being so prescriptive, and you absolutely have everything that you need to do on the checklist, and the requirements are pretty much stated. So as long as someone's following that, I don't see that to be an issue. So I feel like that should be the approach for Energy Star, is make sure as an Energy Star rater, we communicate with the client of what the requirements are on the design front, on the construction process, and then what that entire certification looks like. So communication basically is the key right here.
Okay, perfect. Okay. All right. Thank you both again for joining today and sharing this insight. Thank you everyone for joining us on any one of the platforms that we are broadcasting on: YouTube, LinkedIn, and Twitter. This will be posted on our podcast. That'll be coming up probably in the next couple of days. We'll have this launched. We are launched on 26 different countries, which is just incredible. So thank you everyone for that. If you do have questions, thoughts, comments, you're not sure if this is going to make sense for you, definitely reach out to us. You can email me. My email address is below. You can reach out to Imran. You can reach out to Sean. We're on LinkedIn. Go to our website, sourceadvisors.com, and there's an area where you can say, please contact me. I have questions. We want to help everybody out, making sure that whenever we're looking at these type of incentives, that we're doing what's right the first time. And that's a big thing for us here at Source Advisors, and our clients do appreciate that. Any final thoughts, gentlemen?
I'm good.
Okay.
I think so.
All right. All right. Everyone have a great weekend, and we will be doing a follow-up broadcast again, probably in a couple weeks, with more information about this as we move forward and learn more and bring more to the market. Enjoy your weekend, everyone. Thank you.
Michael, thanks.
Thanks, all.
Bye-bye.